We set out from the island of Busuanga in the Philippines just after sunset. I knew very little about dugongs, but my guides Reynante Ramilo and Archie Espinoza had promised I would get to see some. I wanted to see how they live, but they're known to be very shy and rare. Soon, the boat drew up near a small island.
The dugong breathes every 5 to 6 minutes, and you can see it in servicing in the water. So we're just hoping that we can see some sign that the dugong are here.
This is known to be one of their feeding grounds. Down below is a large seagrass meadow. We wait, but nothing happens. Archie Espinoza decided to head down. He and Reynante work for the non-governmental organization C3. The seagrass the dugong feeds on is tiny, barely even visible. Dugongs have to root through the seabed for it. They need some 25 kilos of it per day. Unfortunately, I never got this close. These images were taken by a local diving school. They're the last surviving dugongs along this coast. There are no more than about 6 or 8 of them left. A protected area for them is long overdue. Archie and Reynante regularly log the condition of the meadows.
We record the seagrass species on that segment. So the segment is like 1 meter by 1 meter square segment. And we record the percentage cover, the depth, the substrate, if it's sandy or muddy.
Seagrass is very sensitive to pollutants, and more seagrass meadows are being cleared for commercial seaweed farming. Reynante and his team are trying to convince local villagers to help set up protected areas. Fishermen report where and when they've sighted dugongs. The team uses the data to create maps of the best spots to place under protection. One team member explains that dugongs are mammals. The calf nurses for more than a year, but the cows only give birth once every 7 years. So each and every animal is precious. The reality is not quite as harmonious. Dugongs easily get injured by boat propellers or by getting tangled up in fishing nets. This fisherman says one was recently caught in his nets. It was scared of the noise the boat's engines made and tore an enormous hole in the net.
The community should decide on a certain zoning, like this zone is for fishing, this is for protection, this is for the boats, highway for the boats, or something like that. They need to agree on certain zones in this area, so that which is acceptable to everybody.
Apparently, the neighboring island of Palawan has already set up a protected zone. I went there to hear about how it's working out. On the main square of the provincial town of Rojas, high school students rehearse a dance for their graduation ceremony. The backdrop is a collage of ecological motifs, and among them, a dugong. Just a few meters away is the Council for Sustainable Development. Christina Dalusung is in charge of the protected area for dugongs. It's already setting an example for the region.
The reason for the success of the project is the cooperation between the funding agencies, the implementing agencies, and the local government units to work hand in hand, especially in communicating to the people the behavior we would want them to have.
I'm interested to learn just how they're getting people here involved in environmental protection. Christina takes me to a little monitoring station on a sandbank. It's brand new. Reynaldo Cosenas is expecting us. He used to be only a fisherman. Now, he's also the manager of the Maritime Protected Area for Karamay Municipality.
This is the coral.
What we see there?
This area. This whole area is buffer zone.
One area, he explains, is for mangroves, one for coral reefs, and one for seagrass. In these areas, fishing is prohibited. The station is manned round the clock. That in itself is a deterrent. Destructive fishing methods using dynamite and poison have virtually disappeared. Not even the big trawlers venture into the protected areas. This pilot project was financed with the help of international donations. It's amazing to see how dedicated the local people are, even with almost no pay.
The MANCOM members of the Marine Protected Area are working as volunteers because we believe that the community should have buy-in or ownership of the Marine Protected Areas. So at first, they need to be inspired to work for the benefits of their own sources of livelihood in the community.
Protecting sections of mangroves, coral reefs, and seagrass preserves breeding grounds for fish. The meshes of the fishing nets have to be big enough to let small fish slip out, so they can mature to breeding age and replenish the fish stocks. This explains the motivation among the fishermen. But what does it have to do with the dugongs? The protected areas often happen to be their feeding grounds. Leaving Palawan, my impression was that this is how collaboration between authorities, NGOs, and the local population should work. Maybe on my next visit, I will have a chance to see sites like this one with my own eyes.